नमामि गौडपादं च शङ्करं श्रीसुरेश्वरं स्वामिनं सच्चिदानन्दमिन्द्रं तं ज्ञानरूपिणे। ओम ओम Adhyasa is between Atma and Anatma. Both that is the Dharmi and Dharma. Atma, Anatma as Dharmis. Dharmi means the possessors of property. Those who possess the property are Dharmi. So Dharmis, that is Atma, Anatma, and their properties. Both are exchanged. The interchanging of Atma and Atma and their properties. That's what we discussed. Now let's say Amesham Dharmanam Avivekaha. Now what is Aviveka? Aviveka means not able to identify. An inability to identify Atma as Atma and Anatma as Anatma. That means seeing them as one as other, and also seeing their properties of one as belonging to the properties of other. Okay, so Amisham Dharmanam Avivekaha. This Swamiji explains, Asya Dharminaha ime dharmaha iti nirdharana abhavaha. Not able to accurately identify that these properties, the properties which we have mentioned, consciousness is the property of Atma alone and never of Anatma. This understanding is missing there. His understanding is missing because the nature of the Atma is consciousness, yet we see consciousness as belonging to Anatma. The nature of Anatma is temporary, is what we say changing, and those properties we see them as belonging to Atma, isn't it? See, Chaitanya Atma, Anatma is Jada. That means Anatma is object of consciousness, but I see myself as an object of consciousness. That's why I say I am so and so. This is one mistake. Mistake means exchanging the property. Atma is Kutastha, changeless, but I feel I am subject to change. Subject to change means I am subject to death. Body changes, mind changes, intellect changes. All these things change. So one takes oneself to be subject to death. Atma is not subject to death because the consciousness is Kutastham, which we have told. It is the body that is subject to change and subject to death. So the qualities of the body are taken to be the qualities of Atma. Therefore, I am worried that I am subject to death. I am subject to birth. So every person is afraid that I am going to die. The fear of death is naturally present in everybody. That means, though this death doesn't belong to me, it is not my nature, my quality, yet I take it as a mine and worry, isn't it? So this is Vikaritvam. And third thing is Vishayatvam. Atma is a subject, Anatma is object. This we have already stated. Satyatvam. Atma is independently existing, Anatma is dependent. Though Atma is independently existing, but as a jiva, as an individual, what I feel is, I am struggling to exist. You understand what is this struggling to exist? I am still struggling to maintain my existence because every moment I feel that I am losing it. This is called insecurity. What is the insecurity? Insecurity means every moment there is a fear of losing your individuality, losing your existence. So Satyatvam is independent existence. So, though I am independently, naturally existing, I feel I am struggling for existence. Struggle. not the physically, socially, but in my mind, I feel I am trying to maintain my existence. That means I desire to survive. I want to exist. That means my existence is under threat every moment. Okay. Now this is anatma. Anatma nature imputed to atma. Then atma is free from sukha dukkha. Sukha dukkha means sukha dukkha, pleasure and pain. That is a pleasure and suffering born from the worldly contacts. Atma doesn't depend upon external worldly contacts. It is independently happy. Yet I feel I am continuously subject to pain and pleasure, happiness and suffering. Okay. So niramshatvam. Atma is of one uniform nature. But we feel that I have got the body, I have got the prana, I have got the mind. When you say you are not a one person. Within you there are many parts, many elements. Isn't it? So sometimes I see, I am in eyes. Sometimes I hear, I am a hearer. I am associated with ears. Sometimes I am hungry. Sometimes you have a physical problem. Sometimes mental. Sometimes intellectual. Sometimes something else. So how we have got different experiences. Even in one person, how we shift our personalities and how we shift our identities and personalities. Within one individual personality, still we have got many more personalities. So it is a samshatvam. This samshatvam, multiplicity, is imposed upon Atma, which is by nature is uniform. Okay. Now this is nirdharana abhava. Soyam avivekaha adhyase nimittam. Now this aviveka is a nimitta. This is a little, in fact, this is a bit complicated one because this aviveka, lack of discrimination, is a nimittam for adhyasa. Why adhyasa takes place? Kim nimittam? For what reason this adhyasa is there? So here Bhashyakara says aviveka is a nimittam. So this aviveka nimittam has given rise to many different interpretations. So in Prakriya, there have many Prakriyas have developed based upon this. So at least a different Prakriya, let us say. See here Bhashyakara is telling, just note this, Viveka abhavaha, lack of discrimination is a nimittam for adhyasa. Just to see, lack of discrimination, nimittam for adhyasa. These three sentences. On this there are lot of difference of opinion. Soyam avivekaha adhyase nimittam. Taduktam Gita Bhashya. Swamiji is quoting another Bhashya Vakya, that is Bhashyakara's another statement made elsewhere. Swamiji's strength, when Swamiji called his teaching as a Shuddha Shankara Vedanta, he depended purely on Bhashya. So wherever there is one statement of Shankaracharya which is a little ambiguous, which is not so clear, in generally it is clear, but if you feel that it is not sufficiently clear, you look for same Shankaracharya's statements elsewhere. So Swamiji has one good advantage. He had complete Prasthanatraya Bhashyam memorized. Complete Prasthanatraya Bhashyam in his memory. Not only memory, not only a rote memory. Rote memory means just some people, you ask a person to recite one Bhagavad Gita shlokas, all 18 shlokas in a sequence he will recite. If you ask a shloka in the middle of it, he won't be able to tell. So, but Shankaracharya was not like, Swamiji was not like that. Complete Prasthanatrayi Bhashya, he was aware, the cross-reference, he was very conscious of cross-reference. While reading, while doing Parayana, he would keep the rest of the Prasthanatrayi Bhashya in view while reading each sentence. See, note this point. While reading each sentence, he was keeping the rest of entire Bhashya, Prasthanatrayi Bhashya in his view. Therefore, this same point, did he discuss elsewhere? He was always looking in that way. Therefore, he found more similarities and contrasts wherever are. He was very much aware. And you can see in his footnotes in all his books, he refers to them, he cross-refers them. Now here, So, vivekabhava nimittaha adhyasah. For this, what does that viveka abhava? Viveka abhava is clear. Lack of discrimination. Nimittam means what? How nimittam, in what sense? First he told adhyasa is swabhavika. When you say adhyasa is swabhavika, where is the question of cause for it? What is swabhavika doesn't have any cause. If it is time bound, if it is produced, if it is time bound, then you could think of its cause. Now when adhyasa is swabhavikam, natural, then no question of cause. But Bhashyakara is telling vivekabhava nimittam. Then nimittam means what? In what sense nimittam? We have understood clearly that there is no cause for adhyasa. Because adhyasa is swabhavika, is natural. So for natural is not a born one, is not a product which arrived at some time later. What comes at some time later could have a cause. But here it is swabhavikam. Now where is the question of cause? Yet Bhashyakara is telling viveka abhava nimittam. How are we to understand this viveka abhava and it being nimittam? For this Swamiji says, we shall refer Gita Bhashya in 13th chapter, 26th shloka, and refer, there is a similar Bhashya Vakyam, very much similar to Adhyasa Bhashya. That might help us to understand this nimittam idea of nimittam. He says, Taduktam Gita Bhashya, Kshetra Kshetrajnayoh. Kshetrajna is Atma, Kshetra is Anatma. Vishaya Vishayinoh. He says same way. Here he says Yushmad Ashmat Pratyaya Gocharayoh. Satyanrutayoh. He says only this much. Yushmad Ashmat Pratyaya and Satyanruta. There he says Kshetra Kshetrajna. Only this much difference. Kshetra Kshetrajna. Here he says Yushmat Pratyaya Gochara, Asmat Pratyaya Gochara. That means Asmat Pratyaya Gochara is Kshetrajna. Because when you compare these two, Asmat Pratyaya Gochara is Kshetrajna, Yushmat Pratyaya Gochara is Kshetra. Isn't it? So, Kshetra Kshetrajnayoh, Vishaya Vishayinoh. Atma is the subject, Anatma is the object. Then Bhinna Swabhavayoh. There he told Viruddha Swabhavayoh. In Adhyasa Bhashya, he told Anyon Viruddha Swabhavayoh, Tama Prakashavat Viruddha Swabhavayoh. There it is, here in Adhyasa Bhashya, it is a little more elaborate. Tama Prakashavat Viruddha Swabhavayoh. In Gita Bhashya, he made it brief. See what Shankaracharya says briefly in one place, elaborately elsewhere. And what he told briefly there elaborates here. So if you combine both, you will get a complete picture. Yushmat in place of Yushmat Asmat Pratyaya Gocharayoho, Satyanrutayoho he told here. In Gita Bhashya he says Kshetra Kshetrajnayoho. That means Kshetra Kshetrajna is synonymous to this. This is clear. Then Bhinna Swabhavayoho there he told. Illi Tama Prakashavatu Viruddha Swabhavayoho. Like light and darkness, they are opposite to each other. Okay. Itara etara taddharma taddharmadhyasa lakshana sanyogaha. The mutual identity, mutual exchanging their identity and also exchanging their properties, transferring these properties. This is called adhyasa lakshana sanyoga. The sanyoga means the connection, the relationship in the form of adhyasa. It is not an actual relationship. It is adhyasa alone is called otherwise by other name sanyoga. So kshetra. Now this adhyasa is due to kshetra kshetrajna swarupa viveka abhava nibandhanaha. He also says viveka abhava nibandhanaha. Here he says aviveka nimittam. See, aviveka nimittam he told. Where is that aviveka nimittam? Oh, we missed the Bhashya Vakya. We have to go to the Bhashya. Yes, Pratyaya Gochare. Avivekena, he says. ಧರ್ಮಾಂಶ್ಚ ಇತರೇತರ ಅವಿವೇಕೇನ ಅಧ್ಯಸ್ಯ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅನ್ಯೋನ್ಯಾತ್ಮಕತಾಂ ಅನ್ಯೋನ್ಯ ಧರ್ಮಾಂಶ್ಚ ಇತರೇತರ ಅವಿವೇಕೇನ ಅಧ್ಯಸ್ಯ. ದೇರ್ ಹಿ ಸೇಸ್ ವಿವೇಕ ಅಭಾವ ನಿಬಂಧನಃ. ಅವಿವೇಕೇನ ವಿವೇಕ ಅಭಾವ ನಿಬಂಧನಃ. Rajju Shuktikadinam. Now he is giving an example also. So, Rajju Shuktikadinam. Just as the snake from the rope. Viveka Jnana Abhavat. Just as the snake is snake and rope. When we see the rope as a snake, rope is mistaken for snake, and what is lying here is a snake. So here the rope and the snake, when they are mistaken, rope is mistaken for snake, there is no viveka abhava. That is the nimittam here. Viveka abhava means we have not discriminated as a snake is separate and rope is separate. We have taken rope as a snake. What is lying there is rope alone and not snake. This discrimination is missing. So he is giving a very clear drishtanta here. Drishtanta helps you what kind of nimittam. See how Swamiji arrived, because Vyakhyanakaras told, which Swamiji is going to discuss later, so I won't go into details. Swamiji himself will say elaborately for 2 to 3 pages. They say Adhyasa requires an upadana karanam, a material cause. It requires a cause, nimitta karanam, as well as upadana karanam. But here Shankara says there is no karanam whatsoever. So, yet he told aviveka nimittam. So that nimittam, in what sense should we understand? Should we understand it as a really nimitta karanam? I mean, does the word nimittam mean really nimitta karanam or upadana karanam? Bhashya Swamiji is deciding neither nimitta karanam nor upadana karanam. Neither nimitta karanam nor how, on what basis. When Vyakhyanakaras, post-Shankarites interpreted as really upadana karanam, due to some upadana karanam and due to some nimitta karanam, adhyasa took place. Adhyasa was an event. They interpreted that way. What authority Swamiji has got? One is Anubhava, which he says clearly. Anubhavanusara Yukti. Second is Bhashya's help. Bhashyakara in his Gita Bhashyam says clearly, Viveka Jnana Bhavat. Due to absence of Viveka, due to absence of discrimination. So absence of discrimination is the factor. What factor? Is it a causative factor? Viveka abhava nibandhanaha, once he says, and viveka abhavat, another statement, same in the Gita Bhashya. Now viveka abhavat, viveka nibandhanaha means, could it be nimitta karanam or upadanam? It's very difficult to decide again. Even in Gita Bhashya, it becomes a bit difficult. Then for that, Swamiji found a very helping example which Shankara himself has provided. He gave an example, Rajju Shuktikadinam, he told. Viveka Adhyaropita Sarparajatadi Sanyogavat. Rajju is mistaken for Sarpa, rope is mistaken for snake, and the shell is mistaken, seashell is mistaken for silver. He is giving clear example. There you see why that adhyasa is found. Why do you take rope for snake? Is it due to any factor there, any causative factor? He says viveka abhava. But here, was there a viveka abhava beforehand and adhyasa became later? See, in this example we can see adhyasa is simultaneous with viveka abhava. Viveka abhava is a nimittam. Nimittam means it is a condition in which adhyasa is found. It is a situation. It is a circumstance. Viveka abhava, lack of discrimination, is a condition in which adhyasa is found. That means wherever there is adhyasa, there is Viveka Abhava. That's what he means. It doesn't mean Viveka Abhava is a beforehand and Adhyasa is an event which happens sometime later. There is no cause and effect. There is no sequence between Viveka Abhava and Adhyasa. Viveka Abhava happens in time before and Adhyasa comes later. There is no time sequence because time itself is within Adhyasa. This we are going to discuss. Therefore, Viveka Abhava Nibandhanaha, Viveka Abhavat means Viveka, absence of Viveka is found when there is Adhyasa. In Adhyasa, you are thoroughly confused. When there is a misunderstanding, there is a thorough confusion with it. Confusion is very strong. That's what he means. It is found with it. That's what it means. Okay. Yeah. Adhyaropita sarpa rajatadi sanyogavatu. Now, yadyapi atma anatmanau atyanta viviktau. Now, Swamiji explains further. Atyanta viviktau. This is again Adhyasa Vasha. Here, the present. Although they are really Atyanta viviktau, totally separate. Atma, Anatma, why totally separate? Because they cannot even come nearby. Where there is a light, darkness cannot come near. So, coexisting is impossible. When coexisting is impossible, where is the question of their exchanging their properties and their natures? So, coming near is impossible. Therefore, Atyanta Viviktayoh, totally separate. Atyanta Viviktau, because Paraspara Viruddha Swabhavatvat, because of opposite nature. Ata eva cha tad dharmaha api atyantam vivikta eva. Therefore, the qualities also belong to their respective dharmis. Atma's qualities belong to remain with Atma, they never go away to Anatma. Anatma's qualities will remain with, always remain with Anatma, they never go over to Atma, it is impossible. Yadyapi, evam tarhi tathapi tayor dharma dharmino. This is Atyanta Vivikta, completely, clearly separate. Yet, tayor dharma dharminor vivekena nirupana bhava nimittaha eva. Only because there is no clear discriminative understanding, therefore you find Adhyasa. In fact, the lack of discrimination is not the cause of Adhyasa. If you look at it accurately, the lack of discrimination is not the cause of Adhyasa. Lack of discrimination is found when there is Adhyasa. In fact, lack of discrimination sustains Adhyasa, allows the Adhyasa to continue. Sustains means allows the misunderstanding. It is something like when you misunderstand rope for snake. Why did you misunderstand? You see, because you have not discriminated. Somebody told you have not brought the lamp and you have not discriminated. Oh, then he says, see, the lack of discrimination is allows you to continue in the misunderstanding. Lack of discrimination allows you to continue in the misunderstanding. That means misunderstanding prolongs. But lack of discrimination is not a previous state before Adhyasa took place. How can there be previous? Because one is there is no kala. First point is there is no time. Because the very concept of past, present and future, the very experience of time and space is due to Adhyasa. Within Adhyasa alone you have got Anatma. Anatma comes into existence only in Adhyasa. Time and space comes in only Adhyasa. Dvaitam, subject-object division also. Subject-object division is only in our thinking. In Anubhava it is one. See, subject and object are not two. The Anubhava is one. It is in your mind you make a division between subject and object. Okay, so this Anatma Darshana, subject-object division and Deshakala Anubhava, all these are found in Adhyasa. Therefore, you can't say before Adhyasa there was absence of discrimination. Where is the question of before? Because to be able to say before, you have to think of the time. And also, Adhyasa is existing in time. But what is time? Time is an experience of mind. When mind itself is adhyasa, entire world is adhyasa, how can the time exist before adhyasa? Which is impossible. Because the time itself is experienced due to adhyasa. In an experience which is sakshi, which is free from adhyasa. The sakshi experience means sakshi anubhava. The sakshi which is free from adhyasa has no time. Time means no sequence. Time means here sequence. There is no sequence. The sequence, the idea of sequence is experienced within adhyasa, along with adhyasa. Therefore, viveka abhava is something which maintains adhyasa, it doesn't cause adhyasa. Then why do you call viveka abhava is a nimitta? See, when you say nimitta, there must be actually viveka abhava and adhyasa are not two things. Okay. Adhyasa means misunderstanding, mixing up. Misunderstanding, when there is a misunderstanding, there is a lack of differentiation. There is a lack of discrimination. When there is a lack of discrimination, there is a misunderstanding. Both are same. So only the way of explaining is different. That means he has got 100 rupees. When you say how much you have got, he has got 100 rupees. That means he doesn't have 101. He doesn't have 200 rupees. So when I have got 100 rupees means he doesn't have 200 rupees. Okay. In applications they write, who are you? What is your gender? He says male when you write him. The person who reads the application, he says, oh, are you male? Yes, he says. So you are male. That means you are not female? If you ask a question, what does he say? Even if he is a small boy, a school going boy, he says, what do you mean, sir? When you say I am male, that is enough. Do you have to ask another question that you are not female? So you mean you are not a female? When I say male, that is implied. Do you have to ask again another question? When a person is out of station, you go to meet somebody, you go to his house, and the family members at home, his wife or son or somebody say, oh, he is out of station, he has gone to Bangalore. Now the Indian mentality is, they ask question again, oh, you mean he is not at home? Then somebody who is a very logical thinker like me gets irritated. They say, didn't I tell you that he is out of station? When he is out of station, how can he be at home? And he asks, the members of the family at home, they tell he is out of station, he went to Bangalore. He has gone to Bangalore. Now next question he asks, oh, is he not at home? Then somebody, a fellow may get angry. What is this? What is this question? When I told he has gone to Bangalore, so after going to Bangalore also he stays at home? What is it? What do you mean? He is out of station means he is not at home. He is not at home means he is out of station. So these are not, now when he goes out, house becomes empty. When house is empty, he goes out. So you can't say which one started first. Going out, remaining outside, or not remaining at home. Which one is first and which one is later? You can't say which one is first, which one is later. Both are simultaneous. When he remains outside, he is not at home. He is not at home means he remains outside. It is simultaneous. He has got 100 rupees, means he doesn't have more than that. Oh, you don't have more than 100 rupees, that means he has got only 100 rupees. Both of them mean the same. You are only presenting differently. So, viveka abhava is adhyasa. In adhyasa, there is a lack of discrimination. The lack of discrimination is possible only when there is adhyasa. When there is adhyasa, there is a lack of discrimination. So, therefore, lack of discrimination is another way of telling adhyasa. Isn't it? Adhyasa means lack of discrimination. It is another way of telling, that's all. It is talking from another angle. But both mean the same. Then why did Shankaracharya say, Viveka abhava nibandhanaha? It is due to lack of discrimination, adhyasa is found. Seeing this innocent statement of Shankaracharya, the post-Shankarites started imagining that due to some factor, adhyasa has arisen. They say, adhyasa is an event that took place at one time, and before that event occurred, there was some cause, there was some factor called Mula Vidya that caused this Adhyasa. This is how they imagined. Viveka Abhava they interpreted as a Adhyasa, Avidya, Mula Vidya, something, some positive substance, some Bhava Rupa, some positive substance has produced Adhyasa. They made it a big factory. There is a raw material and a production and a sales and all that. They made Adhyasa into a full-fledged product producing unit, producing factory. Okay, there is a causative factor, Adhyasa is produced and like that. Okay, now let us proceed. Atayeva cha tad dharmaha api atyantam vivikta eva tathapi tayor dharma dharminoh vivekena nirupana abhava nimittaha. See, since you have not discriminated between Atma and Anatma, you continue to be in Adhyasa, isn't it? Therefore, he says, for want of discrimination, there is Adhyasa. For want of discrimination, when we say it is not a previous condition, and Adhyasa is not a later condition. For want of discrimination, somebody misunderstood. You ask him, why he is talking wrongly. The thing is one thing and he is thinking differently. When you ask him, why he misunderstood, why did he misunderstand? He doesn't know, that's all. What do you say? He doesn't know. If somebody is under misunderstanding and the other fellow complains, why is he thinking so like that? Which has not happened at all. Why is he imagining like that? Unnecessary wrong thing he is imagining. Imagining means he is thinking. He is under that wrong impression. Why is he under wrong impression? Now what do you say? Oh, due to some factor there is a wrong impression. Or you can say, there was no chance for him to know the fact. There was no... we generally say in two ways. One is you say, oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know, that's why he misunderstood. Or, there was no chance for him to know, and therefore misunderstanding is natural. He doesn't know, or there was no chance for knowing. Both of them mean there is a misunderstanding, that's all. Isn't it? He doesn't know. Or there was no chance of knowing, so the misunderstanding is natural. That means if there was a discrimination, there would not have been misunderstanding. This is what it implies. If there was a discriminative understanding, if you had understood very clearly Atma is Atma, Anatma is Anatma, then Adhyasa would not have been there. That is very clear. So he is only telling that in misunderstanding there is a lack of discrimination. If there was discrimination, Adhyasa would not have been there. He is only telling simply this much. He is not talking of cause and effect relationship. But they have interpreted this cause and effect. You take it simply common man's life example, as I have told you just now. The fellow has misunderstood. He is under wrong impression. When he is under wrong impression, what do you say? The other one fellow complains, why is he thinking wrongly? Why does he thinking wrongly? It is not like that. Why is he thinking wrongly? We have not done anything. Why is he imposing? Why is he imposing wrong things? Now other person, what does he say? Due to some factor, he came to the misunderstanding. What could be the factor for misunderstanding? Misunderstanding is misunderstanding. Nobody tells you, nobody prepares for misunderstanding. Do you prepare for misunderstanding and create a misunderstanding? Can you prepare for it? He prepares and all those things. Somebody asks, say, what are you doing? You seem to be busy because I am working for misunderstanding. See, tomorrow 5 o'clock I will do misunderstanding. For that I am making all preparations. Instantly 5 o'clock I will get a misunderstanding. Doesn't happen as an event created by something. It cannot be planned, it cannot be created. You find yourself in a misunderstanding, that's all. After you find alone, you will see yourself in the misunderstanding. Before you are in misunderstanding, you can't imagine, you can't plan for it. See, you watch. You can't plan for it. You can't prepare for it. You only find yourself in misunderstanding, then you start thinking, oh, this is like this, this is like this. Then somebody says, this is not true. When you are in misunderstanding, you don't know that it is misunderstanding. Whenever you are in misunderstanding, you don't know that misunderstanding. You think that it is right. When somebody tells you, or some discrepancy happens in your life to your thinking and the event. You think something and the event seems to be contradictory. Then when there is a contradictory, you may think, Could my understanding be itself wrong? But my understanding, I think like this, I am understanding like this. So I see some contradiction. Either my understanding must be wrong, or the contradiction which appears itself is wrong. Somewhere my understanding could be wrong. So when you are in understanding, you would not know unless another factor comes which contradicts your understanding. Okay, another factor which comes and contradicts your understanding. Nobody would suspect the understanding. See, this is very important. There is a big philosophy going on it. If a knowledge, how do you know that a certain knowledge you have is knowledge or misunderstanding? Different schools started interpreting what is knowledge, what is misunderstanding. Viparita jnanam jnanam. Samyak jnanam, viparita jnanam. Anyatha grahanam. On these things, Nayayikas discussed, Mimamsas discussed, Vishishtadvaitins, Dvaitins, it is a huge topic. In epistemology, they discuss what is a concept of error. If you say there is a misunderstanding, there is an error, how do you say there is an error? When do you know that it is an error? People say it is an error. People talk of it as if it is well known. It is a misunderstanding. It is an error. It is an error of judgment. It is a misunderstanding. It is an error of judgment, we say. But a person who is in misunderstanding, he doesn't know that he is in misunderstanding. He thinks it is right understanding. Then how do you know what is misunderstanding, what is right understanding? You define what is misunderstanding. Because very difficult. Therefore, Advaitins told, there are so many differences of opinion. I am not going to discuss other schools of philosophy like Nayayikas, Mimamsakas, Dvaitin, Vishishtadvaitin. It becomes a big topic and it's not necessary. So, simply Advaitins, the view of Advaitins is that any misunderstandings one would not know. During the misunderstanding, when you are in misunderstanding, you would not know. There is no way of knowing. It is impossible to know that it is a misunderstanding. When you know the misunderstanding, you have come out of it. Only after correcting it, you come to know, oh, this was this was my misunderstanding. Once you understand it, then you are out of it. You are out. Out means you left the misunderstanding. You come out of the misunderstanding. That is called correction. You have corrected the misunderstanding. So when you are in misunderstanding, you would not know it is a misunderstanding. You think it is a right understanding alone. That is the nature of misunderstanding. Therefore, for adhyasa, what is the cause? He says, due to aviveka, lack of discrimination. Now the common man, I am giving you that example, helps you to understand this Bhashakara's idea and Satchidananda Swamiji's interpretation very clearly. Now, somebody misunderstood. Any worldly event. He misunderstood, he thinks wrongly. Then people say, why does he think like that? You want to fight. You want to fight. And another person said, see, he doesn't know, he is wrong because he is wrong. Why should he be wrong? He doesn't know. He is a poor man, doesn't know. Oh, for not knowing it, he misunderstood. Or in the misunderstanding, there is no knowing of the fact as it is. See, I am under misunderstanding. That means you don't know the fact. You don't know the fact. That means you are misunderstanding. They are the two ways of telling. That is from other side, that is from this side. It is both are same alone. Therefore, viveka abhava, lack of discrimination is a condition, is a situation. Always there is adhyasa in. There is always a misunderstanding. Whenever there is a misunderstanding, you find there is a lack of discrimination. As long as you don't discriminate, as long as you don't question it, don't verify it, don't inquire into it, don't try to see whether it is right or not. If you don't verify it, in fact you take it for granted, it continues. Adhyasa is a misunderstanding and you don't think of verifying. You don't doubt it, you don't verify it. Then it continues until you correct it, until you consciously inquire, verify and correct it. You will continue in misunderstanding alone. There is no way of coming out. Therefore, this means when you don't know, when you misunderstand, no, I don't know also is accompanies with it. I don't know is another way of telling. Therefore, viveka abhava is there, is a situation in which adhyasa or misunderstanding is found. So here is tayor dharma dharminor vivekena nirupanabhava nimitta eva varnita adhyasaha viveka abhava nimitta. Swamiji again says nimitta. Now we explain. Tatascha vyavaharaha ityanavadyam. When there is viveka abhava, there is adhyasa. When there is adhyasa, there is a vyavahara. Okay? People ask what is the cause of adhyasa, what is the result of adhyasa. Okay. Cause of adhyasa is lack of discrimination. And we told you it is only simply causing it. It is not a cause at all. It is a condition. It is a situation in which adhyasa is found. That's all. It is not a causative factor. Then simultaneous factor. Cause, see difference between cause and condition. See the difference? Cause is something which existed before adhyasa took place. It is a previous condition is called cause. It is a previous state, the same thing, due to that this happens. Now when we say nimittam, nimittam is not a causative factor, but it is a simultaneously, it is a situation in which adhyasa is found. So a situation, a condition in which adhyasa is found, it is simultaneous. So that is the difference between nimitta and karana. So we are not talking of karana of adhyasa. Bhashyakara is telling simply nimittam. So nirupana abhavaha. Tatascha. Now what is the result of adhyasa? What is the effect? What is the effect? Good effect or bad effect? What is the effect of adhyasa? Effect of adhyasa is vyavahara. Now adhyasa vyavahara, is there any time gap? First adhyasa takes place, then vyavahara starts. When adhyasa, after adhyasa takes place, after how many days vyavahara begins? Vyavahara means I am so and so. I mistake myself to be anatma, anatma to be atma. After the mistake, after how long time of the mistake? After what time gap of the mistake the vyavahara begins? There is no time gap. When there is no time gap, there is no sequence. When there is no sequence, what is it? It is simultaneous. In fact, as there is adhyasa, there is vyavahara. Now, regarding the cause, so-called cause as it were, it is not real cause. That's why we say nimittam. So, nimittam is simultaneously present with adhyasa. The vyavahara, which is an effect of adhyasa, is also simultaneously present. In short, these three are one. Adhyasa nimittam, adhyasa and vyavahara. All the three are one. Okay. They cannot be. No, the post-Shankarites made these three into three separate things. And also they put a time sequence. In time these three events happen. They took it that way. Therefore, their philosophy became highly complicated. Then you have to logically defend it. Like lawyers' defense. They go round and round and round and round and round. So they ultimately defend what is right as a wrong and wrong as a right. Police as a thief and thief as a police. If a police arrests a fellow and takes him to a court and files a case, says that this fellow is a thief, so I brought the case. The lawyers are so clever. They try to they will successfully present to the judge that the police is a thief and the thief is a really good man. You can do that. By going round and round and all silly meaningless arguments you can make. And you present that a thief is a so innocent man, very gentle man, very nice man. And thief is and the police is a really wicked, then there is a great suspicion that all this theft must have been committed by the police himself and putting it innocently on the thief. They would do like that. They are capable of arguing, and sometimes they do. Why? Sometimes, most of the times. So here we say adhyasas nimitta is simultaneous with adhyasa. Then the adhyasa janya vyavahara. Why do we call adhyasa janya vyavahara? That means vyavahara itself is adhyasta. That's what it means. Vyavahara itself is adhyasta. Therefore we call adhyasa janya vyavahara. All that it means, adhyasa, vyavahara is not real, it is due to adhyasa. Vyavahara is not real, it is mere adhyasika. That's what it means. Therefore, all the three are same. Avidya, aviveka nimitta, adhyasa and adhyasa vyavahara. Adhyasa janya vyavahara. Okay. Tatascha vyavahara ityanabadyam. See, Swamiji explained it. यद्यपि चैतन्यादयो न मन आत्मनः सकाशात् पृथग् विद्यन्ते धर्माः नित्य निर्विशेष चैतन्य स्वरूपत्वाद् आत्मनः न च अनात्मनि द्रव्य गुणकर्मादि भेदेन धर्मधर्मी भावं वैशेषिकादिवत् अभ्युपयन्ति वेदान्तिनः परमार्थतः. This is also a very interesting point. Okay. Now we told dharmi adhyasa, Atma, Anatma, they are mutually mistaken. Not only that, their properties of Atma is taken to be wrongly taken to be belonging to Anatma. Then Anatma's property are wrongly, erroneously taken to belong to Atma. So this is exchanging of properties. Now when you say exchanging of properties, Swamiji says one point here. Chaitanya Kutastatvam, Chaitanyatvam, that it is a subject, that it is a Satyam, all these qualities of Atma, we have stated before that they are the qualities of Atma. Now he says they are not the qualities actually. Then why did you say? I tell you, is a technical word. If you don't say qualities, then properties, it becomes very difficult to communicate. We use the first they are the properties and later explain in what sense they are properties. See, instead of using a totally a new unknown word, you use a word which is already prevalent in the world and change the meaning, show how the meaning is different from the routine worldly meaning. So it connotes totally a different meaning. Okay. Here, Chaitanyadayo, Chaitanya, subjectness, etc. are Atma dharmas, he told before. Now question comes, are there dharmas for Atma? Are there properties for Atma? Now he says Atma doesn't have properties. If Atma has a property, then what happens? Atma becomes a substance, dravya and quality. Dravya and guna. There would have been a difference between dravya and guna. But these qualities which we have described as the properties of Atma actually are not the properties. We use the word property. Now we are explaining in what sense they are the properties. First meaning is straight interpretation is they are not properties at all. Ayyo Rama. If they are not properties, then why did you call? Because we had to use some word. If not property, if not the word property, if not the word dharma, what other word can we use? What other word can we use? If it is not dharma, then what is it? They are the nature of Atma. See, Chaitanyam is the nature of Atma. Chaitanyam is not the quality of Atma. If quality, what happens? Quality can disappear. Quality can reappear. Quality can change. Because the thing itself may have the quality for some time or may not have the quality. After some time, the quality may go away. Here, quality means property. But here it is not the property. Chaitanyam, Satyatvam, Sakshitvam, Vishayitvam, all these are not. Vishayitvam, Satyatvam, Kutastatvam, changelessness. Satyatvam means really and independently existing. This real existence, all these are not the property of Atma. What are they? They are the Atma. Oh. Properties are, in worldly sense we say an object has got a property. But here properties are inseparable from the Atma. They cannot be recognized as the quality and substance. Quality, substance, this division doesn't exist in Atma. Atma and Chaitanyam are synonymous. Atma and Chaitanyam. Atma is conscious, we can't say. If you say like that, then Atma comes to possess the quality of consciousness, the quality of Chaitanyam. If Atma comes to possess, was there a time Atma didn't have the quality of consciousness? Yeah, it didn't have before, now it developed. Because in Kristu Purva there was no consciousness. Everybody was Jada. And later, after due to Jesus, consciousness is arising. Okay. If this kind of philosophy you say, it looks so ridiculous. That means consciousness which has come from outside, which is not the nature of Atma, if it has come from outside, it won't stay long. Due to some other factor, it will go away. Whatever is not one's nature, whatever is acquired due to some factor, due to some condition, due to some situation, when the situation changes, the quality will disappear. Okay, isn't it? The quality which appears in an object or in a substance, that quality, if it appears due to certain factors, due to certain situation, when the factors, those factors are removed, it ceases to exist. The quality is not such an acquired quality, picked up quality, developed quality, whatever you call it. It is not a picked up quality, a developed quality, a learnt quality. We learn certain things, certain habits and certain way of talking and behaving. We learn by watching others. Sometimes they appear directly due to Purajanma. So anyway, in the worldly sense, a property belongs to a substance, but here, whatever are described as the properties of Atma are in fact not the property. Although we use the word dharma, although we use the word dharma or property, they are not really the dharmas, they are not really the properties. Then why use the word? Because some word has to be used. And you have to totally create a new word which is non-existing in the language. If you create new word, again you have to explain because it's not understood. So the property or quality, word is used to communicate the very nature of the Atma. The nature and Atma are inseparable. Atma is Chaitanyam, Chaitanyam is Atma. Therefore we say Atma's nature is the quality of Atma is Chaitanyam. Here it is not quality. Then why do you use the word quality? Because the word quality conveys something, a quality which is so close to it. So the dharma or property is a word very close to it. It is not exactly dharma, but it conveys a very close meaning. It helps you to come very nearer to it. Therefore we use it. And some people, you have used dharma, therefore we take literally dharma and quarrel with you that you meant this, but it is wrong. But we say, I did not mean it. Yes, you meant it. You have used the dharma word, you have used the property, therefore you meant dharma only, you meant property only. He says, no, I didn't mean it. When you didn't mean, why did you use dharma? See, dharma word is used because it is something similar to dharma, not exactly dharma. The word dharma comes closer to nature, therefore we have used it. Therefore Chaitanyam etc. are not the really qualities of Atma, they are the Atma. Then why do you call these different qualities? Because you talk from different angle. You see the same Atma from different angle. It appears in a different way, therefore we give different names and different qualities. But actually they are not the qualities, they are the Atma. They are the Atma, they are not the qualities of Atma. So here, Yadyapi Chaitanyadayaha nama na Atmanah sakashat prathak vidyante dharma. Dharma is a dharma. See, two things. Dharma is acquired. You take a flower is beautiful, flower is red. So the redness is a color acquired by the flower because the same flower could be white also. The same flower, like you can say hibiscus flower, we generally see red hibiscus, but I have seen white hibiscus also. So a quality or a property belong to Atma, we call it a property or quality because it is acquired. It is developed or acquired or cultivated, whatever it is. It is not natural to it. It is newly, due to some situation, due to some help of the external factor, influence of the external factor, it developed in it. One reason. And then later if the situation changes, the quality may go away. This is one. Second thing is, the quality can exist in another person also. Supposing when you say red flower, do you mean to say redness remains only in flower? Flowers alone can be red and nothing else will be red. Do you say that? Flowers, when you say red flower, what is redness? Redness is the quality of the flower or the nature of the flower. How do you distinguish? Property of the flower, nature of the flower, both are same. No, there is no, they are not same. When we say property or quality of flower, we mean that two things we mean. One is the flower is red now. The same flower, hibiscus flower, could be white also. It could be without color also, because the same flowers, the same flower jati may have a different color or may not have the color. Without the flower, without the color, the flower can exist. But whereas a nature, without, nature means it doesn't give up. It is not developed one. It is not picked one. Whenever there is flower, the redness is always there. This is one reason. Second reason is, wherever there is redness, all that is flower alone. Can you say? Flower means redness, redness means flower. Do you say? No. Because flowers are red, but cloth is also red. A tree can be red. A leaves can be red. The Mayflower leaves, have you seen Mayflower? Mayflower, only in the month of May, there are some plants on the roadside the government grows. They call them Mayflower. The leaves themselves become red. So the redness can be the quality of a cloth or a book or a paper, anything. There can be many things which are red. Therefore, redness is not the nature of flower. Because two things, the redness may be acquired by flower and the flower may lose the color. Or another thing is, the red color may exist in other objects. It need not be the essential nature of flower. Now, what is the nature and not the quality? I'll give you an example. You give an example for the nature and not quality. Heat is the nature of fire. Is heat quality of fire or nature of fire? If it were quality, what happens? Sometimes fire is hot, sometimes it is not. Have you ever seen a fire which is not hot? A cold fire, have you ever seen? Cold fire, you could put it in fridge. What is this? You are putting the fire into fridge? Yeah, it is a cold fire, therefore I am putting in fridge. Does anybody say? Can there be a cold fire? So therefore fire never becomes cold, one thing. Then the heat doesn't belong to anybody except to fire. See, heat belongs to nobody. Aushnyam belongs to nobody except Agni. Ushnata belongs to Agni alone, it doesn't belong to... Wherever you find Ushnata, there you say Agni is present. Agni is present in some form. Therefore, Agni and Ushnata are synonymous. This is called nature. Now you understand the nature and the property. The difference between nature and the property. Nature means like a Ushnata is a nature of fire. That means Ushnata is fire and fire is Ushnata. There is no Ushnata without fire. And there is no fire without Ushnata. There is no cold fire and there is no something other than fire which is hot. Wherever there is heat, you call it fire only. So this way, fire and heat are same. They are just synonymous, fire and heat. Therefore, this is called nature. Property means, now I explained you. Shall I explain again? Just for contrasting, I just say in one or two sentences. So property means, the thing which contains the property may change. Property, the thing, the substance which owns the property may give up the property, because it might develop it after the flower. After a thing is born, you may add the color to it. You may add certain qualities to it after the thing is born. And that quality may exist in somebody else, need not be on this person alone or this object alone. Therefore, the quality can exist elsewhere. Here, flower is red, and red means only flower, nobody says. Does anybody say, oh, red means only flower alone? No, red can be many things. Red can be cloth, red can be book, red can be paper, red can be plant, red can be many things. Red can be eyes. Okay, red eyes. Red can be fire. Fire also is red. So the red quality may belong to many things. Redness doesn't mean only fire. But heat means fire. Fire means heat. That means they are synonymous. This is the nature. Now you understand. Therefore here he says, Chaitanyam is the nature of Atma, not the quality of Atma. If it were quality, it could be exchanged with Atma, Anatma. Anatma's quality could be exchanged. Here, Anatma's qualities are the nature of Anatma. Atma's quality, which we have described as quality or dharma, they are the very nature of Atma. These qualities don't exist elsewhere. They always exist with Atma alone. Without Atma, these qualities can never exist. They are the Atma. Chaitanyam is Atma, Atma is Chaitanyam. Don't say Atma has got consciousness. See, Atma has consciousness. When you say consciousness is a property, Atma is a substance. No. Atma is consciousness, consciousness is Atma. There is no guna guni bhava. Okay. There is no guna guni bhava. Now we have come up to this point. We have to say a little more. Okay. This paragraph is not complete. I think we will complete it tomorrow, because time is up. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. So just have a patience with me. I have a habit of repeating. So just have a patience. It becomes very clear for you. That's why I am just... Some sharp people, by telling once you understand, I have just a habit of repeating. Okay. Have a patience with me. Om Shanti.